Oh, Nintendo, you know, if someone could have gone back in time and told me before the Direct, Arlo, you're gonna be making a video about the stuff they reveal for Breath of the Wild 2, but you're gonna make a video about something else too, and it's gonna excite you even more, I would have said, oh my gosh, time travel is real, my mind is breaking from just, my reality is just broken open, and it's crazy. But after I recovered from that, I would have said, awesome. I wonder what it could be. Don't spoil it though. Don't spoil anything, future person. Get back to where you're coming from. So today we got one of those reveals. Whoa, just once in a blue moon reveals that just blows your socks off, blows my socks off. I had 17 pairs of socks on, all blown off. It was incredible. It's Metroid Dread. And one of the reasons for this discussion video, obviously I just want to talk about the concept and everything, but another thing I'd like to do is sort of explain very briefly why this is as big of a deal as it is. I kind of did the same thing for Metroid Prime 4. A lot of people are like, you know, what's the big deal? Well, in case you're new to Metroid and everything, here's why. It's so many layers. This reveal, oh, it was so good. It was so delicious, so delectable the way that they did it. As I said in the general direct discussion video, I do wish they didn't come in saying, here's a new Metroid game before they showed us. It would have been that extra little bit of surprise if they just let us see it, but whatever. So like, Samus drops down. Okay, the logo, Metroid, okay. 5. Oh my gosh, that already is incredible because we haven't gotten a new mainline 2D Metroid game in 19 years. 19 years since Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance. And honestly, I can imagine that there's a lot of people, assuming, well, we'll talk about this idea in a bit, assuming that this game follows the more open Metroidvania format, that means that there are some fans, because I only got into the series with Metroid Prime, you know? And I actually didn't even play a 2D Metroid until like 6-7 years ago. Like on my Wii U, I played Super Metroid. But there are some people who've been waiting for a long time because Metroid Fusion was actually very linear. It didn't really have the same structure. So if this is exploration heavy, that means those people have been waiting for an exploration heavy, brand new Metroid, mainline, non-remake, since Super Metroid on the Super NES. This is a really big deal. Oh, but it gets so much better. It gets so much better. Then they reveal the title, Metroid Dread. You might have seen my reaction. You might have seen some other people's reactions. And in case you're wondering, Metroid Dread is a project that they have been wanting to work on. The idea has existed since like 2004 or something. According to this little developer interview thing that they did with the series, kind of the lead Metroid guy, Yoshio Sakamoto, he said that like they just couldn't do the idea justice with the technology they had, which is a little weird. I feel like maybe they were just so set on making a handheld title. I mean, you could, even on the GameCube, you could make basically whatever you wanted, just the graphics wouldn't be as good. I don't really know what he means there. But whatever the case though, like this idea has been a thing and then gotten canceled, maybe even a couple different times over the years. Even better, in-game, in lore, in Metroid Prime, I want to say 3, there's like a log entry you can find that mentions Metroid Dread. It says like Project Dread is close to completion or something. So like even within the game, we knew Metroid Dread was a thing and we wondered what it was. So that's why, just the fact that they didn't just make a new one, they didn't just move on, they didn't scrap the idea. This is the game that he wanted to make, they wanted to make all this time. And once they finally had the opportunity, they went, okay, let's still make Dread. And so that's what's so good about it. And yeah, you can learn more about it in the interview that Nintendo posted with Yoshio Sakamoto. And he mentioned something really interesting in there. He says that this will be the end of the arc between Samus and the Metroids. That's big. That's really big. I mean, I have wondered the whole thing. I mean, if you haven't played any of the games, Metroids are a thing, but then they're like close to extinction, and it's a whole thing. And so the idea that this will bring an end to that story is really interesting. That adds a lot of power to this game. It does. It's funny because it could go two ways. It could go one really good way or one really bad way. The bad way is Does that mean he's gonna be like, good, I did it, I finished the story, now I don't have any other ideas for Metroid, so let's never make another one, or wait another 19 years for one? Or does it mean, hey, look, I can finally make the 2D Metroids I want to make. I'm finally gonna close out this arc, so now we can make more Metroids. Now we can move on from this arc, and now that, you know, he's gotten past that story tangle in his brain, he can start doing new things. I don't really know. I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that one. You can probably guess which option I prefer. But let's get, like, to the game itself. So when Samus pops up, or pops down, whatever, drops down, it is clear that she has got the, or not just the fusion suit, but, again, I don't want to spoil it, but Metroid Fusion, it kind of ends with her suit being weird. Let's just go there. I don't really like it. I wish they didn't do that. I kind of wish they'd just reboot the whole thing, which is another funny thing. I wanted to make a whole video about how they should reboot Metroid and change the story. So much for that. That all went out the window. I should have done it when I had the chance. So they are continuing the story. Whatever. That's awesome. Fine. And we can see that she has her weird suit and everything. And the very first thing we see, obviously, is this big, weird Emmy, I think they were saying, E-M-M-I, this big robot thing. And they established very early on that this thing is invincible and kind of stalks her, and you gotta, like, run away from it and hide from it. This is so interesting. I have had this idea for a while now. I was like, okay, if Nintendo's never gonna make Metroid Dread, because of course they're never gonna make Metroid Dread, that'd be too cool, I decided to come up with my own idea. And my idea was super duper similar. My idea, oh man, I almost don't want to say it. Like, I was gonna make a whole video on it. It was gonna be really cool. And just like my idea for Metroid, and I was gonna get an artist and everything, and I kind of like don't want to spoil it. Whatever, I'll just say it. If I do something like it, I can still make a thing out of it. I'll just say it here. The basic idea is that, like, you're in a facility, and the space pirates, like, made like a clone. They, like, used, like, mother brain DNA and fused it with Metroid DNA or something. Like, the big scary alpha Metroids or whatever. And they made this creature that is, like, really strong and too powerful for them. And the whole idea is that she'd be in this facility with this thing that stalks her, that chases her. It's the stalker thing, like the SAX in Fusion, and it chases her, and it's the same thing. Even the way it, like, prowls around like a predator, that's exactly the way that it is here in Metroid Dread. It's the same thing. The only difference is it's a robot. I mean, there are other differences as well. I have all sorts of ideas. My idea was a lot darker, and you have, like, a flashlight and stuff. But it's just so funny. It's so funny how similar the idea is to the idea that I had for Metroid Dread. So moving on, and that's a really, really cool idea. I do love the whole stalker thing because it can be very scary, and Metroid itself can be very scary. It has had horror elements in the past, and it's worked really well. I will say I'm slightly worried about how it kind of spoils the whole stalker thing really early on. Like, right here in the teaser, you see it. And in fact, the first thing we see is it, like, catching her and presumably killing her. Because they say, oh, one hit and you're dead. You know, if it catches you, you die. That already kind of takes away some of the scariness. And they show it, like, they show her being invisible and hiding from it and stuff. I don't know, it's just, it doesn't have as much of a dark atmosphere as I would want from a Metroid Dread and a Metroid where you're running away from this scary thing. It just, yeah, it could have been a little scarier. And now, especially, like, they got the treehouse footage and everything. They're just like, here's the game, here's the whole thing. But again, that's okay. And I am not gonna, like, deep dive this. I'm actually trying to avoid too much exposure for the reason I just stated. The more I'm exposed to it, the less effective it's going to be. So especially with Nintendo's track record the last few years, I'm kind of just showing everything in the trailers, so I'm not going to go over every single new ability and everything, especially because in the treehouse, I'm sure they're going into great detail about the kind of stuff you can do and all that. But just, like, generally, we know that this was made by Mercury Steam, who made Samus Returns on the 3DS, which is awesome. It means that Nintendo was happy with the way that turned out, even though it didn't sell very well. And I mean, it's literally exactly what we were hoping. They do Samus Returns. I loved it. It turned out really great. And, I sure hope Nintendo says, hey, Mercury Steam, will you make a full, brand new Metroid for the Switch? And they just, like, did. They just did that thing that we really wanted them to do. Oh, golly, when does that happen? When does that happen? Just the exact thing that you're hoping for. Oh, that's incredible. I don't know how long they've been working on it. Maybe this whole time or not really sure. Point is though, Mercury Steam is doing it, and that's great because they incorporated a lot of really cool action elements into Samus Returns. I know not everybody was crazy about the counter move. I really liked it, and I think it had a lot of potential, and I think if they tweak it a little bit, they could probably make both camps pretty happy. But then they added other stuff too, like the slide. It's such a simple thing, and yet seeing it in action, it's not something I had considered for Metroid, even though it's like, yeah, you run and you slide. Simple as that. I like it though. I like the potential it has for combat and for just traversal and everything. It just looks cool and slick. And then other stuff, you can like grab onto these certain spots of the wall and crawl up and down, and that's Metroid apparently can crawl, so that's really nice. Meme reference, thank you, you're welcome. And I do like how right away it's like, hey look, you can grab on the wall, and then it shows a moving wall section that's like moving for you, so you can sit there and aim while you're stuck on the wall. It's just like here's a new idea, and here's already a cool iteration on the idea that you can see. I like that. I like it. I mean, you know, it's the classic Nintendo thing. You have an ability, what are all the different ways you could use that ability? And then we got a little taste of it. I didn't look too deep into it. I saw like the Nintendo Twitter had a little thing, like this dynamic view thing where like the camera changes and it's coming for her and she's like aiming at it or something. I don't know exactly what that is, but like, I mean, I'm a sucker for just like the dumb cinematics. So just like anything to just make me feel like a cool Samus person. That's neat. Yeah, again, I didn't look too deep into the rest of it and all the abilities and everything. I don't think I want to, but from what I can see in the footage, it just looks awesome. It just looks super, and that's what I loved about Samus Returns. It was so fluid and just quick. The controls were so good. Like Fusion really brought a lot to the idea of like Metroid controls, you know, ledge grabs and stuff like that. Samus Returns brought it into a whole new just generation of Metroid controls, even though it was a remake, kind of. But now seeing that return with even more in a brand new Metroid, it's very, very exciting. I cannot wait to get my hands on this. It looks so slick and good. And now, I had a base model 3DS when I played Samus Returns, so I had to just like hold the button and pause to aim, but now I presume we'll be able to aim with the right stick too. It's gonna be even better. The graphics are gonna be awesome. The graphics look pretty darn good. I would say there's like a teeny tiny level of polish. A little extra would have gone a long way that I think I was expecting. Like maybe, I don't know, it's just like maybe a step below what I would have wanted, and that I know Nintendo Switch is, what do I call it, Nintendo Switch? That I know the Switch is probably capable of. It's not long until release, so we're probably not gonna get anything that looks too different from this. But it does look very good. The environments are really cool. In fact, the more I watch the trailer, the more I'm okay with the way that it looks. Just like Samus Returns, neat environments, neat backgrounds, just cool. It was a really competently made 3DS game. It looked super good on the 3DS, so I'm excited to see what they can do with the more powerful Switch hardware. And gameplay-wise, yeah, so the exploration thing, that's my biggest hope right now. The absolute biggest thing that for me, personally will, I'm not going to say make or break the game, but it will definitely be the difference between a game I love and a game I adore and want to play forever. Because yeah, Fusion, a lot of people love Fusion. I like aspects of Fusion, but it's so linear. Like, to me, that's what makes Metroid so great. It's really good gameplay coupled with the exhilaration, the exhilarating feeling of the exploration, you know, gaining new abilities and all that stuff. And Samus Returns was linear because it had to stick to the general format of the original. But within that format, they added, I feel like, as much exploration as they possibly could while still maintaining the same flow of the map and the narrative and all that stuff. So I'm really hoping that here, it's even just a little more open than that is gonna do really well. I'm not expecting full Super Metroid, go anywhere you want at any time and try to fudge things so you can get stuff early. And you know, like, Super is just, it's the standard. It's the gold standard for Metroid games. It's not as open as like the first one, but the first one is confusing and weird. But then the remake wasn't as open. I don't know, whatever. Point is, I hope it's pretty open. And I'm having pretty, like, I dipped into the Treehouse stream, and even just in that little bit that I saw, they were saying that they just focusing really hard on exploration and what they were talking about. And so I have hopes. I have decently high hopes for it. For that one, we just won't really know until it's in our hands, I suppose. And, gosh, and like, the reveal of a Metroid game, oh my gosh, that's amazing. It's Metroid 5, oh my gosh, that's more amazing. It's Metroid Dread, it's even more amazing. And then just like it's the cherry on top. The boop, just a little thing right on top. October. This year. It's coming this year. I'm not even gonna, I mean, like, it's one of my biggest things, and yet it's not like Zelda, where I have to wait 3 years for Zelda after the reveal. No, just a few months, October, and in fact, it's coming out a little over a week, like a week and a half before my birthday. That's incredible. They already gave me Luigi's Mansion on my birthday. Now they're giving me Metroid right before my birthday. Oh, Nintendo, you know just what I want. I wonder if I can get Pikmin 4 for my birthday next year. That'd be pretty good. And I guess the final thing I'll say that I hope for it very, very much is that it sells. This has to sell. Metroid Prime 4 is the same way. They're putting a lot into Metroid Prime 4. It's gotta sell. And so this right here is like, okay, this is 2D Metroid's chance. It's not on the 3DS. It's not a remake. It's brand new. It's on the Switch. This is their chance. If it reviews well and it's seen as a very good Metroid game, this is Metroid's opportunity to be a thing again, to show Nintendo that it's a viable property. And if it doesn't work, I hate to imagine how long it's probably gonna be before another mainline 2D Metroid game. Oh, I don't even want to think about it. However, as with usual with this kind of thing, I will say, if it doesn't sell super duper well, that's at least partially Nintendo's fault for not letting us play the other games. How many people, I mean, like, Yoshio Sakamoto does say in the little interview thing, he has to specifically say, it's fine if this is your first Metroid, like, but still, why would you give people this scenario? Why would you put us in this situation where, hey, we really hope you buy Metroid 5, it might die forever if you don't buy it, but we're also not going to let you play any of the other ones. You can play the original on NSO and Super on NSO, but none of the cool, none of the cool remakes, no port of Samus Returns, no Metroid Zero Mission, no Fusion, and that's annoying. Just from a capitalistic perspective, I don't know what you're doing, not letting us play the others before we play 5. Whatever, could go on about that all day. It's Metroid Dread. It's Metroid Dread. I'm gonna say these words. Metroid Dread is a game that Nintendo is making, and it's coming in October. It's unbelievable. It's unreal. I gotta stop. I just gotta stop. It's Metroid Dread. Okay, yes, go down to the comments. Let me know what you think about Metroid Dread. It's Metroid Dread, I'm just saying. The Metroid Dread, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. Okay, I'm done. I swear I'm done. Have a good day. Metroid Dread. Goodbye, Metroid Dread.